Alright everyone, in this video I'm going to give you 5 health hacks to incorporate into your morning routine starting in 2023 so you can have a kick-ass year. These 5 health hacks are all related to each other and are in chronological order, so as you wake up each day you do them in sequence and it will make for a fantastic year of mental and physical health. The 5 morning health hacks are: number 1, delay coffee intake as long as possible. Number 2, run 2 miles every day, either barefoot or in toe shoes. Number 3, after you run, do 3 sets each of Turkish get-ups and kettlebell swings. Number 4, after you do your get-ups and swings, take a cold shower. Number 5, after the cold shower, break fast with a steak. Each one of these 5 health hacks comes with a bonus tip that I will dive into as I explain each one individually. Number 1, delaying coffee intake for as long as possible after waking. Yes, I'm stealing this one from Henry Huberman, but it's a damn good one that's worth repeating. Why delay coffee intake for as long as possible after waking? Because coffee interacts with a chemical called adenosine, which causes you to feel sleepy. Basically, the coffee prevents the body from interacting with the adenosine, which makes you feel like you're not sleepy even though the adenosine is still present. The caffeine is just blocking the adenosine's ability to bind with receptors in your body that cause you to feel that tiredness. So you want your body to naturally get rid of that adenosine without caffeine. Otherwise, the caffeine is just blocking the receptor, and then in the afternoon, once the caffeine is gone, all that adenosine that was never allowed to naturally dissipate is going to come rushing in the early afternoon. You're going to fucking crash. You're going to need to nap. It's going to cause that huge early afternoon slump. So you want your body to wash away the adenosine from the prior night's sleep on its own before you intake caffeine. Then when you finally do intake caffeine, sometime an hour or more later, or even after breakfast a couple of hours later, now the caffeine is going to be more of a pure, clean jolt that's not going to be obscured shortly after the high with a bum rush of adenosine that's going to knock your ass out. Bonus tip for number 1, drink your coffee black. No bullshit. No cream, no sugar. You do not want your body to be metabolizing anything before breakfast. Bonus tip number 2 for delaying caffeine intake rolls into point number 2 about barefoot running. If you're not going to wake yourself up with coffee, you got to wake yourself up another way. And that leads us to number 2. Every morning you should run 2 miles barefoot or in toe shoes. Why is this? Running is natural. We are born to run. Running feels amazing. Gives us all sorts of happy chemicals. It trains our posture to be upright naturally, because if you don't have good posture when you're running barefoot, it hurts. So you just listen to your pain that comes from your feet up, and it instructs your body on how to have a good posture. And you do this every day, 2 miles. It doesn't take long. It takes about 20 minutes to run 2 miles. Up and down the street is what I do. Now, bonus tip with barefoot running. You gotta do it outside. Why do we want to do it outside even in the winter when it's cold and wet and sucky? Because sunlight. Even if it's cloudy, there's still a ton more sunlight that you're getting into your body when you're outside compared to using an artificial source of light inside. It's January. This is a video about having good January habits. This is the winter, especially here in New England. Winter's brutal. It's really easy to get SAD, seasonal affective disorder, which basically is a mental illness that results from not getting enough natural sunlight. By taking a 2-mile run first thing in the morning, you are replacing caffeine, you are getting cardio, and doing a great posture exercise, including mewing exercise, because remember, you're going to be running with your mouth shut and only breathing through your nose. That's a bonus tip. Number 3, you're getting sunlight, and that sunlight is going to boost your immune system in the winter months. It's going to wake your ass up, cause that early morning cortisol spike. Moving on to tip number 3. Once you get back from your brief 2-mile, 20-minute run, it's time to do weight training. Cardio is not enough, okay? Cardio is not enough. You also have to lift heavy things. And I find when it comes to lifting heavy things, you gotta KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. 2 exercises. Kettlebell swings, Turkish get-ups. If you do 3 sets of those every day, although you could do up to 4 or 5, no problem. 3 sets though, as a bare minimum. Kettlebell swings, Turkish get-ups, you will keep your body strong. You will be ripped. You will have real functional strength, because these are both full body exercises that incorporate the feet, the legs, the hips, the core, and the rest of the body, the upper body, the arms, the shoulders, the neck, everything. These are 2 exercises. You don't have to think about, oh, is today legs day? Is today arms day? Is it blah, 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 blah. All that is going to cause you to do too much. It's too much friction in your head thinking about what you're going to do instead of just doing. So just settle on this simple routine. Pavel Tsatsouline advocates it. It's called simple and sinister because it is both simple and sinister, which is to say it's going to beat you up, man. These are good exercises. So for men, I would recommend starting out with it's light, an 8 or even a 12 kilogram kettlebell, and then eventually working up to a 16 kilogram kettlebell when you settle into these exercises. For women, probably similar. Maybe start with an 8 if you're a less trained woman. Super bonus tip for when you come back in from your run and you're doing your kettlebell swings and Turkish get-ups, incorporate a video light into your workout as another source of super bright light into your eyes and into your body during the winter months. I'm a video content creator, so I own a video light. I own an Aperture 300X, which is an expensive light and it's powerful. This thing is exactly basically what you need to do what I'm talking about, which is when you're on your little gym mat doing your Turkish get-ups and kettlebell swings, you want to have this thing blasting at about 50% if it's an Aperture 300X, which is a 300 watt COB chip on board LED light. And you want to just use the reflector because the reflector is going to make it even brighter. And it's going to give you that effect of, you don't want to look directly at it, but it's almost like when the sun is bright out in the sky and it makes your eyes squint. You don't look at it, but you look around it, and that nice harsh light is coming into your system and tricking your body into thinking that you're outside and getting that natural light that human beings need. So incorporate a video light of about 150 to 300 watts with a reflector onto you when you're doing your indoor weight training each morning, especially in the winter months. Tip number 4, taking a cold shower. So you've just run 2 miles and you have just done a couple of sets of kettlebell swings and Turkish get-ups. Now it's time to finish off that cortisol spike in the morning. How are we gonna do that? With a cold shower. I know it's cliche at this point. Is it a fad? I don't think it's a fad. I think it's just an ancient tradition that humans have been working with for a very long time, which is cold water exposure. You expose your body to cold water, it's gonna suck during, but then after you're gonna feel amazing. And you're gonna get all these happy chemical spikes in your system as a result, just a couple minutes of cold water. Here in New England in the winter months, you can get cold water in the winter, real cold water. If you're in a place where the water's not that cold in the winter, like say Philadelphia or south, then I recommend cold water submersion. You have to acquire a cold plunge tank. I built my own. I'm going to do a video reveal of that later. I built that earlier this year. In 2022 in the fall I built it. But in the winter in New England or in similar cold places, you can just take a cold shower. Now, bonus tip with cold showering, start cold. For the longest time, for years, when I was taking cold showers, I would start hot and then just put on the cold water at the end to finish off. That's bullshit. Start the shower cold. Put it on cold and then do a round of Wim Hof breathing, then go into the shower, and you want to clean yourself with cold water. You're not just rinsing with cold water. That's weak sauce. You want to clean yourself with cold water. This, number 1, allows you to get a longer duration of cold water because instead of just rinsing with it for 30 seconds or a minute at the end, you're actually washing with it, which takes a couple minutes. Number 2, you don't feel the misery of the cold as much because you're actually doing something functional. Oh, I got to get my hair. Oh, I got to get my armpits. Oh, I got to get my shit down here, right? You're actually doing something with the cold water instead of just thinking about how miserable the cold water is. So to summarize, habit number 4, we're taking a cold shower after our run, after our lift, and we are starting that shower cold so that we can actually wash cold, which has the effect of, number 1, increasing our exposure to the cold by making it longer, and number 2, it feels shorter because you're actually doing something functional and useful with that cold water rather than just feeling it and how cold and miserable it is. Tip number 5, time for you to break fast with a steak. So you just did your 2-mile run barefoot. You just did several sets of Turkish get-ups and kettlebell swings. You just took a 5-minute or so cold shower. Your cortisol is spiked. You're clean. You're feeling it. You're feeling the blood course. You're feeling good. Now it's time for you to not screw that up by eating too much carbohydrate with breakfast. So what do? We got to make sure we get a feed that's going to give us plenty of nutrition, plenty of protein, plenty of fat, so that we get that nice, even energy as we go about our workday. We do that by starting our breakfast with a steak. Steak is 0 carb, it's high protein, mediocre fat. It's the perfect food to give you that steady energy that you need as you go from, let's say, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., busting your ass, doing work, making money, making a living. Bonus tip number 1 with steak. add tallow. The number one mistake people make with carnivore diet is not eating enough fat. I learned this from Paleo Medicina. For every 100 grams of protein that you eat, there should be about 30 to 35 grams of fat. That's way more fat than you would expect. Most people on the carnivore diet are too high protein, not enough fat. The way we fix that is you buy a tub of beef tallow on Amazon.com. It's not that expensive. It has the consistency of butter, but it's non-dairy, because a lot of butter is bullshit because it's pasteurized. It causes a negative reaction in the body. So we use beef tallow with our steak. Literally, you slice it like slices of butter and you add it to your bites of steak. Each morning, I recommend at least a couple spoons full of beef tallow with your steak. That's going to give you that perfect protein to fat ratio with your breakfast. I guarantee you, you're going to be solid for the rest of the day until dinner time if you do that. Bonus tip number 2 about steak breakfast. A lot of us have a desire for sweets or for crunch with our breakfast. We replace the potato chip version of crunch with pork rinds. Pork rinds give you that satisfactory texture that potato chips or other crunchy foods that we crave give us. But it's, again, 0 carb, high protein, medium fat. Swap potato chips with pork rinds. Make sure the pork rinds are not fried in any kind of vegetable oil and that they're just cooked in their own lard. Okay, the only ingredients in a pork rind should be pork and lard. Continuing on this point, a lot of us have a desire for something sweet to round out our meal. In the morning, we cannot afford to eat pastries. Abso-freaking-lutely not. That is a surefire way to bomb your late morning, early afternoon. So instead of eating pastry, what do? We satisfy our sweet tooth with 85% or more dark chocolate. This is what I've been doing for years. It's a little mix of caffeine. It kind of gives you that nice stimulant spike, and it satisfies your sweet tooth both at the same time while basically being super low carb, low sugar, and hitting that sweet tooth satisfaction that a lot of us need to feel like we're really done with our meal. That's it for the 5 tips, but before we finish off, we're going to bring it back full circle to tip number 1. So tip number 1 was delaying caffeine intake for as long as possible after waking. You've just had your breakfast, you've had a little bit of dark chocolate, you're about to go down and work, bust your ass with your career, your job, your trade, time to make money. Now is the time for you to have your tall mug of black coffee. Now that the adenosine is gone, you've had a healthy cortisol spike from all the things we talked about, you haven't carb bombed yourself, a mug of dark coffee at this point is going to be all upside and very little downside, and it's the perfect way to go from all of this craziness in the morning to now sitting down at your desk or whatever you do for a job, have something to tie you down and make you feel good about sitting there and doing that thought work or that office work or whatever kind of work you do. That cup of black coffee is a perfect complement and a perfect friend when you sit down and transition into your workday. So those are 5 morning health hacks to bring into the AM of every day of this new year. Hope you enjoy them. I know they bring great benefit to me in terms of mental health, physical health, mood, biochem maxing, all of these positive states that help us enjoy life and savor life and are the opposite of the negative states that are so common. We set the stage for these positive mental and physical states by putting in the work, by putting in the right inputs. These 5 inputs will get you on the right track. I hope you enjoyed that video. Stay tuned for upcoming videos about health hacks for other parts of the day or aspects of your life. Definitely a PM health hacker video coming up and more. All right, everyone. Peace out.